that your dreams and everything that you hope for seem to delay. Yeah, looks like your problems don't seem to go nowhere. Just take a deep breath. People talk about you, it's got you feeling down and really stressed. Don't tell me you don't know the trouble that I've been going through. You self don't know, see, the same thing they go through, me self and they go through too. Who told you the lie? When you fall, it's the end of your life. I heard a whisper from above, I pray it opens up your eyes. Broken pencil still right, so keep on writing. And falling soldiers still rise, so keep on fighting. One day you'll lift up your eyes to the skies and your light will be shining. One day you will win, yeah. One day you will win. Broken pencils still write, so keep on writing. And falling soldiers still rise, so keep on fighting. One day you'll lift up your eyes to the skies and your light will be shining. One day you will win, yeah. One day you will win. Now snap on it. News around this life is not fair. Greed is all we see. You gave your heart to the wrong folk, they broke it, and now you put it on free. Fake life on Instagram and Snapchat got you feeling ungrateful. My sister, if you could see the real them, you know you are being a great fool. You wrote a paper and failed. Sit down and write it again. One day you will kill him. He broke your heart and you cried. Give love another try. True love will heal him. I'm not trying to look down on your problems. No. I know say you don't know how you sabi solve them. Allow me to introduce you to someone I know. He's a specialist in handling cases and issues we don't blow. If you fell, just rise. If you fell, just rise. If you fell, just rise. Wipe the tears from your eyes. If you fell, just rise. If you fell, just rise. Wipe the tears from your eyes. If you fell, just rise. If you fell, just rise. Wipe the tears from
This is Star Radio UK.
If you fell, just rise. Wipe the tears from your eyes. Broken pencils to write. Keep on writing. Fallen soldiers to rise.
Global Real Estate Wealth Summit with Dr. Olumide Emmanuel will be happening live in October in a city of the United Kingdom. It will be an event like none other. One day, 8 speakers, 10 sessions. Date, Saturday 14th October 2023. Register now to qualify for the 30% discount offer. Visit www.olumideemmanuel.org/GrewUK to register or call the hotlines 074-231-55486 or 020-322-30800.
Everyone, it's your girl Bebe Clement, the author of How to Go from Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, Bebe Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Star Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Get ready for this.
Hey, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to the Bebe Means Business Show. This is the show where you get all your education, all your advice, all your information about how to do well financially, how to build, protect, create, and leave all your wealth as a legacy to generations to come, and to be a blessing, because we are blessed financially to be a blessing. The money that was placed in our hands has got to do more than just feed us and our family. It's got to make a difference in the earth. So I want to welcome you again. Thank you very much for joining me. I'm your host, as always, Bebe Clement, and I'm here every week between 1:30 and 2:30 just for you. Just for you. And today, I'm going to be addressing something that I think is really important. Now, the first thing is, I was reading some statistics, and they were saying that over 70% of the world's population is financially illiterate. Over 70% of the world's population is financially illiterate. I actually think that's done on purpose, to be honest, because you would think, considering the fact that when you leave school or university, you spend the rest of your pretty much working life trying to get more money, that they would at least teach you those skills in school. But no, the powers that be have deemed it unwise to teach us about money. And like I said, I actually think that's done on purpose. You know, like in the times of old, the powers that be refused to allow the paupers to read the Bible themselves. They had to go through a priest, or they had to go through a pope in order to access the Bible, because they didn't want them to be spiritually free. They didn't want them to think for themselves. I think personally that you can call me a conspiracy theorist, but I think behind the scenes that there's something similar going on here, because I cannot understand why children are not taught about money. They're taught about their sexuality and their gender, but they're not taught about money. So I think it's really important that we address that issue, because the result of that is that the majority of us grow up not understanding how money works. How do you make money? What exactly constitutes money? What kind of economic environment am I residing in? How does it work? How does that impact on my ability to make money? Why isn't everybody rich? Why are some people poor? Why do some people make millions and then go bankrupt, and within a very short time they're able to make those millions again, whereas some people never even smell a million? Why? It's because we're not financially literate. That's why we can't answer those kind of questions. And it's really important, if you're going to become financially free, that you do become financially literate. And when I say financially literate, I'm not talking about academics, because book smart and money smart are two completely different things. I'm sure those of you who are very well educated have discovered that by now. You can have more degrees than a thermometer and still struggle to pay your rent. So it has very little to do with your academic achievement. Your ability to understand money, as far as I'm concerned, is of greater use than your academic ability. I remember when I was in secondary school, and part of my biology lessons was part of my biology exams was being able to, I must be able to dissect a toad and name the parts. Well, guess how many times I have been asked to dissect a toad since I left secondary school? But I have to deal with money every single day. So today I thought we're going to be dealing with a little fun exercise. I'm going to ask a number of questions, and I'm going to answer them myself. But just to improve your financial literacy, because it's really important that you understand how money works so that you can learn how to make it and become financially free. You know, like the Bible says that my people perish for lack of knowledge. Usually what is keeping you financially poor or unable to seemingly grow is what you don't know. That's all that's standing between you and somebody's millions, is what you don't know and what they do. That's it. That's it. They're not any smarter than you. I've met a lot of these millionaires. They're not any smarter than the everyday person, but there are things that they know, things that they've educated themselves about the financial system that puts them at an advantage. All right. So today we're going to be talking about how to increase your financial literacy. And hopefully by the end of this program, you would have done that somewhat. Okay. All right. So here we go. So the first question is, what kind of economic system does the UK operate? Because I'm based in the UK, so I'm going to talk about the UK. What kind of economic system does the UK operate? Is it a planned economy? Is it a capitalist economy? Or is it a mixed economy? Is it a mixed economy? And if you know the answer to that, and you're listening and you want to give us the answer, please, if you're watching us from Facebook, just type in the answer in your chat. If you're watching us from Twitter, do the same. And if you want to email us, do that. Actually, I'm feeling kind of generous, so I think I'll be handing out a gift or two today to those who do participate and who get the answers right. Yeah. So if you put your details in the chat and you answer a question and you get it right, I'll have a look at that during the break, and I will, at the end of the show, send you a free gift. Okay, so actually, in the UK, we have what we call a capitalist system, and I'm going to explain what that means in a little while. But let me first of all tell you what a planned economy is. A planned economy is where the distribution of goods and services are either economy-wide, or they're limited to a category of a particular set of goods and services. That's a planned economy. Now, a mixed economy is from market principles, free market principles, plus socialism. So a bit of free market, but you also have socialism. Okay, so the state has a hand, the private sector also has a hand, and it's a mixed economy. The UK has what we call a capitalist system. A capitalist system. Now, a capitalist system is where it's a system whereby people and money integrate, of course, and whereby the factors of production, and they are land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship, are privately owned and controlled, and that's quite important, by a very small group of people. A very small group of people. Now, how did we become a capitalist nation? Because we weren't always a capitalist nation. We were, in fact, I would say, up until the time of Thatcher, we were probably a mixed economy. Up until the time of Thatcher, a mixed economy. But Thatcher was very good friends with Ronald Reagan, you remember, those of you who are old enough to remember. She was very good friends with Ronald Reagan. And Ronald Reagan was a staunch capitalist, and she was very heavily influenced by his philosophies, and she implemented them in the UK. So one of the first things that she did was she broke down the monopolies. So when I first came to this country, we had only one telephone provider. It was British Telecom. We had only one gas supplier. It was British Gas. So those organizations had a monopoly on those sectors. She smashed all that. So that the smaller boys were able to play on that field, on that monetary field. So another thing that she did was, up until that time, most people lived in social housing, and happily so. It was only the elite that owned their own homes, so to speak. It wasn't really encouraged that much. The majority of the working class, in particular, lived in social housing from generation to generation, and they were happy doing so. She smashed all that, and it was her that brought about the right to buy. Those of you who remember, thank God for Margaret Thatcher, because I probably might never have been able to put enough money together to buy our first home. But we took advantage of that scheme, the right to buy scheme, whereby the government paid you a certain amount of money to assist you to go and buy your own property. And that's how a lot of us got on the property ladder. So wherever Margaret Thatcher is, I thank you, because we are part of the beneficiaries of that. But a capitalist system, like I said, is where the factors of production, which are the things that economists look at to see whether a country is doing well financially or not, and that is land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. But they are controlled and privately owned by a very small group of people. Now, why is that important to you and I? It's important to us because when politicians, go on TV and they do their little spiel and they tell you that, the wealth of this nation is up for grabs for anybody that will pull themselves up by their bootstraps and work hard, that's not necessarily true. And those of us who have bought into that have done so at our detriment. Actually, that doesn't work necessarily. I'm not saying you shouldn't work hard, but there are other ways in which to work. People who are making money in this country are those who very smartly sought to own and thus control as many and as much of the factors of production, land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship as possible. Those are the people who become wealthy. Those are the people who become wealthy. Not the people who get 10 degrees and 5 masters and 1 PhD. No. Not the people who work round the clock, one shift after another. No. And definitely not employees who are dependent on a single source of income. No. The people who become wealthy in a capitalist society are those who control and privately own the 4 factors of production. So if you are going to become wealthy, you should be asking yourself the question, so how do I own those 4 factors of production? And hopefully, for those of you who are regular listeners to this show, you should be full of ideas right now as to how you can do that. And I'm going to share one in a minute, but we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, I'm going to share one way in which you can own some of those factors of production. See you in a moment.
Global Real Estate Wealth Summit with Dr. Lumide Emmanuel will be happening live in October in a city of the United Kingdom. It will be an event like none other. 1 day, 8 speakers, 10 sessions. Date, Saturday 14th October 2023. Register now to qualify for the 30% discount offer. Visit www.olumideemmanuel.org/GrewUK to register or call the hotlines 074-231-55486 or 020-322-30800.
The author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, Bebe Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Star Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Get ready for this.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and once again, you are welcome to the Bebe Means Business Show. This is the show where we talk all things money, all things business, all things entrepreneurship, and hopefully set you on the road to financial freedom. Now, just before the break, I was talking about some of the ways in which you can control and own some of the factors of production. So one such way, one such factor is, of course, land, and in land, please include property. Land and property is one of the best ways,
Saturday 14th
one of
October
the surest ways,
Register
one
now
of the tried and tested ways with which you can own one of those factors of production and can pass down to your children's children.
Register.
So it gives me great joy. I'm really excited that I'm going to be part of the Global Real Estate Wealth Summit 2023, hosted by Dr. Lumide Emmanuel. Now, for those of you who know Dr. Lumide, you know this man is just off the charts. Off the charts. And the wisdom that God has given him, he has used to set so many people free financially. So he, myself, and a host of other guys, Chuka Ugu, Shay Clement, Bimbola Sagie, Sunday Adiribigbe, Catherine, Aigbo, we're all meeting together. We're hosting you, yes, you, on the 14th of October, which is a Saturday, at De Vere Grand Connaught Rooms. Very classy. Very, very classy. And that's up in London. And the cost is £1,000. It's £1,000 for the day, and that includes all the materials you'll get, all the slides you will get. It includes a buffet meal. It includes your ability to mingle and mix with everybody in the room, to network, to do all that. And then here's the clincher, guys. Here's the clincher, because we recognize that a lot of people come to these kind of events and then they get all excited and they get all this information and then they go home and life happens. And when life happens, they just sit back and they are no better off than before they went. We don't want that to happen to you. So what we are offering is post the event, all of us are going to be available to you for 90 days. 90 days available to you so that we can mentor you in the property space. If you are thinking of investing in the property market, we are available and on hand to mentor you. Listen, that alone is priceless. Forget the event itself. That alone is priceless to you. For you to have someone to hold your hand for 90 days, all the questions that you need to ask about: how do I get into the property market? Where do I find the money? How do I leverage? Who can I collaborate with? What property should I buy? What should I avoid? How can I get properties? How can I get information about properties before they come on the market? How can I take advantage of the Airbnb space? Do I have to physically own my own property to make money? And the answer to that is no. All that information is going to be giving you what kind of legal pitfalls do I need to avoid, that kind of thing. If I want to exit the property market, how do I do that? All that information is going to be available for you. It's going to be fun, it's going to be informative, we're going to work you hard. But listen, you have an opportunity to be in the room with people who are doing it. People who are doing it. Yes, interest rates are high, but people are still making money because people have to have somewhere to live. They have to have somewhere to live. And as some landlords are selling their property, that is to your advantage. That is to your advantage, because all those tenants that have been asked to leave when somebody sells their property now need somewhere to live. And if you have property that they can move into, you're laughing. You are just laughing. So come along to that. It will definitely be worth your while. I'll talk about a little bit more about that later in the show. Okay, so the next question, for those of you who are just joining, we're talking about increasing your financial literacy or improving your financial literacy so that you can learn how to make money and stop going around in circles without anything to show for it, because time is going. Right, so question number 2. Are the following statements true or false? Are the following statements true or false? A freehold is the same as a leasehold. Is that true or false? Is that true or false? It's not the same. A freehold is not the same as a leasehold. A leasehold, when you buy a leasehold, you own the property or the object, the structure, you own that, but you don't own the land. You don't own the land. The freeholder owns the land. So really, you're pretty much a tenant on that land, which is why land is really important. So a freehold is not the same as a leasehold. Now, depending on what your property investment strategy is, I always encourage people, if you have the ability to buy a freehold rather than a leasehold. Okay? The second question is, a 99-year lease affords the same rights as a freehold. Is that true or false? A 99-year lease affords the same rights as a freehold. Is that true or false? It's false. I mean, if the answer to the first question is false, then that is definitely false. It's not the same, because after 99 years, except you extend the leasehold even further, the freehold will knock on your door and say, give me the key, and they'll be within their legal rights to do that. Doesn't matter whether you inherited the property, so you can't say, oh, but my father owned this property and he passed it down to me. It doesn't matter. You own the structure, you don't own the land, and the landowner has the right after 99 years, when your lease expires, to knock on your door and say, hand over the keys. So they're not the same. The third question is this true or false? A leaseholder must agree to change in service charge rates for them to be introduced. That is not true. That's not true. Again, this is why you have, if you are able to, you should own the freehold or a part of the freehold, because a leaseholder does not have to agree to a change in service charge rates for them to be introduced. The freeholder can introduce them. If he can justify why he wants to introduce them, he can introduce them, and there's not much that you can do. Okay, next question. Is this statement true or false? My employer cannot sack me on ill health grounds. My employer cannot sack me on ill health grounds. Is that true or false? Well, I hate to be the one to tell you, My background is in employment law. An employer has every legal right to sack you on the basis of ill health. There are 5 legal grounds on which you can be sacked from work. One of them is capability. Now, when you get a job, they're not hiring you because you're pretty. They're not hiring you because you're nice. They're not even necessarily hiring you just because you can do the job. They're hiring you on the grounds that you are capable of doing the job, not just that you're coming to work, that you are capable of doing the job. So if anything hinders or hampers your capability to do the job, they are well within their rights to say, then why are we paying this person if they can't do the job? This is why, sadly, when women go on maternity leave, women who have climbed the career ladder to a high extent, then go on maternity leave and then return, they find it difficult to find their footing again. Why? Because part of capability, or a large part of capability, is presence. It's presence. And yes, it is not our fault that we get pregnant and we have babies. It's not our fault, and I wouldn't give that up or change that for anything. But from an employer's perspective, it is all about presence. And if you are not present for whatever reason, legitimate as that reason may be, then it is possible for them to get rid of you. So, that not in relation to a pregnant woman, that's not what I'm saying. I'm talking about matters of ill health. So for instance, let's say you have worked for your employer for 20 years, you've been a faithful worker for 20 years, and then sadly you suddenly have an illness, a really bad illness like cancer, and you're a full-time employee, and you have to now go for chemotherapy for 3 days a week. Then except you can find some kind of agreement with your employer, excuse me, except you can work out some kind of agreement with your employer such that maybe you now reduce your hours to part-time hours, or they get someone else who can job share, or they can cover you for a season. But if it looks like for the next 3 years that's going to happen, they are well within their rights to say, well, you're not capable of doing the work, especially on a full-time basis. We may have to downsize you or, change your contract to a part-time contract. And if it seems like this is going to be endless, they are well within their rights to say, I'm sorry, you are not capable of doing the job. Yes, we know you've served us for 20 years. Yes, we know that it's because of ill health, but we got a business to run. And this, again, is why I constantly say to people, you cannot depend on a single source of income. You can't depend on your salary. You must have different income streams because life happens. Anything can happen. And if you, for instance, you fall ill and you get laid off, or you are forced to reduce your hours, your bills are still going to remain the same. Nobody's going to ask you, nobody's going to say to you, don't worry paying the mortgage. We know that you're ill. Nobody's going to say that to you. British Gas is going to get their money. So you must have different income streams. So yes, they can sack you. They can sack you on ill health grounds. Okay. Next question. Which of the following is an appreciative asset? An appreciable asset. Which of the following? 1, a car. 2, land. 3, lace material. Now, lace material is something that my people wear a lot. It's my national customary outfits made of lace material. Or a large screen TV. Which of those are an appreciable asset? A car, land, lace material, or a large screen TV? Well, a car is not an appreciable asset. In fact, the rate of depreciation for a car is almost laughable. I'm told that if you buy a new car out of the showroom and you drive it out of the showroom now, and you drive it to the end of the road and you bring it back and you try to resell it to the same people who sold it to you 20 minutes ago, it would have lost about 20% of its cost price. So I find it really baffling when my people spend so much money and lay so much emphasis on driving the latest car. It's not an appreciable asset. So why waste so much money? Now, I'm not saying don't buy a new car, I'm not saying that kind of thing, but except you can buy it by cash, with cash, outright, what is the point? What is the point? remember that in a capitalist society, it's those that own that become wealthy. So if your car is HP, you don't own it. You don't own it. It is on loan. So think about it. I'm just telling you these things so that you can think about it. Some of us have to change our financial habits and our financial lifestyle. And a lot of our financial lifestyle comes about because we're not financially literate. We're not financially literate. The next one is land. Yes, land is an appreciable asset. And of course, in land, you will include property. Land is an appreciable asset. Even when there's a property bust. Even when there's a property bust, it's a good time to buy. Because if you can hold your nerve, all right, and not get moved by all that's happening around you, if you can hold your nerve, life is cyclic. What goes around comes around. So if you are able to buy property, even when there's a property bust, and just hold it, once prices begin to go up again, you'll be laughing again. You'll be laughing again. So land is definitely an appreciable asset. And even if you don't buy during a downturn, if you do nothing to improve your property, sheer market forces, the laws of supply and demand alone make property increase in value. You don't have to do anything to it. I remember the first property that we bought for $53,000. I don't think we did anything to that property apart from maybe paint it. Aside from that, we didn't do anything to it. And we sold it next 6 years. 6 years later, we sold it for $180,000. How many things can you invest in that will appreciate like that? So once again, ladies and gentlemen, come along to GREW, the Global Real Estate Wealth Summit, on the 14th of October. And we're going to show you how you can become wealthy or develop a very healthy property portfolio that you can retire on peaceably. Peaceably, you can retire on. And yes, I know that times are hard and £1,000 is a lot. But if you think the cost of knowledge is expensive, wait until life hands you the cost of ignorance. Ignorance costs me, and it costs you even more. So I would rather pay the price, because it's all costly. I'd rather pay the price and get the knowledge and get out of the rut, the financial rut that I'm in, rather than sit there and just be running around in circles, chasing my tail, trying to become financially free in ways that are just not going to happen. Not going to happen. Okay, so the next question is, which of the following is a means of transferring wealth to your children? A life insurance policy. B, a valid will. C, a freehold or leasehold. D, all of the above. It's all of the above. The first one was a life insurance policy. Listen, if you are listening to me and you don't have life insurance, can I beg you, if nothing else, can I beg you to ensure that you go and get life insurance? It doesn't matter how old you are. There are now some insurers who are insuring people over 50. But please, do not die. Refuse to die without life insurance. Because a lot of Caucasian people, their first taste of wealth is through life insurance. It's through life insurance. It is important that you protect your family. It's very important. Some of us have property, and those properties, by the time you die and your children pay off your debts that they didn't even know you had, oftentimes the bank has to repossess the property. But if you have life insurance, and a lot of the life insurance has a clause or a policy embedded in it that they pay off your mortgage on your debt, then your children can inherit a mortgage-free property. I mean, that alone, they will bless you. A mortgage-free property in this climate, they will bless you. So it's really important that you do that. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take another break, and when we come back, I'll have more questions for you. Okay, see you in a moment.
Hi guys, exciting news! This is Bebe Clement, and alongside my husband, I run a group of small companies. Listen, the event of the year, you gotta be there. You gotta be there. The Global Real Estate Wealth Summit 2023 on the 14th of October. This is the place to be. Listen, AI is set to disrupt over 70% of jobs over the next 5 years. That means that there's a high possibility that your job is not going to be there in 5 years. And even if it is, that the degree to which you do your job is going to be greatly diminished. You have got to develop different income streams. And there's no better income stream to develop than real estate. Listen, crypto and all those are good, but I'm old school. I need to be able to see it and touch it. And the good thing about real estate is it doesn't matter what the economy is doing, whether the economy is doing well or whether we're in recession, people will always want somewhere to live. So I'm joining Dr. Lumide Emmanuel and a group of my friends, and we're going to get together, and all of us have invested in real estate. And as I say, success leaves clues. We want to share with you how we did it so you can do it too. You cannot afford to be dependent on your salary. It's never going to be enough. And every millionaire has about 7 different income streams going at a single time. So how are you going to survive on just one? So come along. All the registration details are at the bottom. Register today. Bring your husband, bring your wife. They need to be there. This has got to be the year where things change for you. I'll be speaking, and I look forward to seeing you there. Bye-bye.
Bebe Clement, the author of How to Go from Employee to Entrepreneur, and the host of your weekly business show, Bebe Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Star Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Get ready for this.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's your host, Bebe Clement, and you are tuned into the Bebe Means Business Show, the show where you get to know all you can about money, how it works, who's got it, who hasn't, what to do to get it, and to get out of debt, and all the things that you need to know to become financially free and leave a good financial legacy to your children's children and to be a blessing in the earth. Okay, so just before the break, I was talking about which of the following is a means of transferring wealth to your children. And the first one I spoke about was life insurance. The second one is a valid will. Is that a means of transferring wealth to your children? Oh yes, definitely. Now listen, again, if you do not have a valid will, and a valid will is a will that has been signed by you with a recognizable signature, that has been witnessed, so somebody's watched you while you were signing it, and it was dated as well. If those 3 elements are not there, it's unlikely that it will be held as being valid in a court of law. So you must make sure that you have those 3 elements. Don't just write something down and put your name on it. It must be witnessed. It must be dated. Once you get a will, make sure that your loved ones know where it is. There's no point in writing a will and nobody can find it, or they've split your proceeds and they don't, before they even discover your will. So make sure that your loved ones or the executor of your will has a copy. So either your solicitor or maybe your spouse or something like that, or your best friend, something like that has a copy of your will, so that even if somebody else comes up with some will, they will be able to say, no, actually that's not his will, or it's not valid, this is the one that he gave me. Now, it is important that you have a will, because if you don't have a valid will, it is possible for the government to take up to 40% of everything that you have worked for, everything that you own. If you die what we call intestate, which means you died without a valid will, the government can take potentially up to 40% of all that you own. What is the point of you working the way you work for somebody else to come and inherit all that you worked for? Now, another reason why this is very important, because sadly we live in the day and age of multiple relationships, multiple marriages. It is not unusual now, it is not unheard of or unusual to find people on their 3rd marriage within the church and in the world, doesn't matter. But at least the 2nd is almost a given now, sadly. So where you have multiple relationships, and sometimes these relationships can be messy, so you have someone who's legally married in the UK, and then the second marriage is done traditionally, perhaps back in Nigeria or in Ghana, without checking the legal status and all that kind of thing, and then you have multiple children and all those kind of things. If you do not have a valid will, it is very possible for people that you did not want to inherit under your will to do so. So maybe an ex-spouse, or even the children, the non-biological children of a maybe new spouse. I've seen cases where the non-biological children of the man that died, i.e. they were the children of the new wife, but they were not his biologically, were able to inherit, whereas his own biological children were not. So you've got to be very, very careful and make sure this is, and I would encourage you to have a lawyer have a look at your will before you become ill or anything like that. So you're not too young to have a will. Once you start working, I would encourage you to have a will. Once you start working, I'd encourage you to have life insurance. You're not too young. It's important that we get these things done, because life is always full of the unexpected. We always think it can never happen to me until it does. So rather than become a casualty, it's important that we put things in place. Now, is a freehold or a leasehold a way of leaving a legacy for your children? Of course it is. Of course it is. But you should ensure that you have equity in the home. Because what has happened to a lot of our properties is we have the equity that has accrued, we have taken it out, sadly, not to invest it in something that is producing money, but usually in something that we don't need. We have taken equity out of an appreciable asset and invested that money in a depreciating asset. So some people take the equity out and go and buy a new car. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. Or take the equity out and go and use it to do a funeral and bury their dead father back in Africa. Crazy. So really, when you do something like that, you are eating your children's inheritance. That's what you're doing. Because if you die and there's no equity in the home, or you owe on the home, the bank, sooner or later, are going to take the home. They're going to take the house. And normally, they don't sell it at the price at which you would have wanted to sell it. So again, because in our culture, we're not used to talking about money with our children. Oftentimes when we die, our children have no idea about our financial affairs. No idea at all. And this is where we differ from the Jewish community. The Jewish community talk about money a lot. They talk about money around the dinner table. So the children grow up talking about money with their parents. I would encourage you to do that. I'd encourage you to talk about money with your children. Let them know. If you're at liberty to say how much you earn, why would you be embarrassed? As long as you're doing what you need to do by way of keeping them. Even if I'm earning 20,000, that's not their business. As long as I'm doing what I need to do in providing for them, doesn't matter how much I earn. But let them know, if you have property, especially if you have property in different jurisdictions, let your family know what you own. I cannot understand this behavior, especially when it comes to our men, where they hide assets from their spouse. What is the point of that? What is the point of that? Why would you do that? Let people know. Let those who you love and you trust, let them know what you own, just in case anything happens. Some people don't die, but they become incapacitated. They become very ill, and they may not be able to tell or communicate to their loved ones in relation to what they own or their property and stuff like that. So before all that happens, before life happens to you, get prepared. Be prepared. Don't just live in denial and wait. Be prepared, and make sure that you don't leave when your family are crying at your graveside. They're crying because they miss you, not because of the debt that you have plunged them into. Okay, so the next question is this: when starting a small business, which of the following do you need? Which of the following do you need? 1, a solicitor. 2, an accountant or bookkeeper. 3, a secretary. 4, your pastor. What do you need when you are starting a small business? A solicitor, an accountant or bookkeeper, a secretary, or your pastor? Well, you will need a solicitor. At some point, you will need a solicitor. And I would actually advise that you get one involved in your business as soon as possible. In fact, if you're going to go into business, you should start thinking about how you can build what I call your power team. Your power team. Your power team consists of your lawyer, your accountant, your tax consultant or your tax advisor, your business advisor. Those, at least those three, if not more, and then of course your mentors. But you should have a skeletal group of people who are supporting your business. And one of the sad things in my community is that we don't understand the importance of professional services. We don't understand the importance of professional services until we get into trouble, and then we expect them to work miracles. It doesn't work like that. You should, whenever you're going to go into business, you should have at the back of your mind how you are going to put together your power team, and they will help you. I have seen people for one of saving £250 consultancy fees, they have gotten themselves into trouble that has cost them tens of thousands of pounds. I'm not exaggerating, tens of thousands of pounds, but for something that could have been avoided if they had paid a tax advisor £250. So please don't, as I say, cut off your face or cut off your nose to spite your face. There's no point in that. So you will need a solicitor, you will need an accountant or a bookkeeper. Someone like me, I'm just not very good at keeping accounts, I'm not very good with figures. Also, they will help you be disciplined in your finance. So your accountant or a bookkeeper will ask you questions. What did you spend this money on? Why did you spend it on that? Couldn't you have bought this cheaper? Couldn't you have sourced this cheaper? And all that kind of thing. And especially if you're a small business, if you're a small business, there is a tendency to mix your personal accounts with your business accounts. I would strongly discourage you from doing that. Open a separate account for your business, even if it is a very small business and your income is very, very minimal. Doesn't matter. It's the principle that is important. Separate your business life from your personal life, because after a while you will mix the whole thing up. You won't know whether you're in profit. It will be almost impossible to trace what is going out, what is coming in, what belongs to the business, what belongs to you. And sometimes we fake ourselves thinking that we're the business is doing good because you've mixed the money with your personal money. So make sure that you separate them, and if you can't afford a full like a chartered accountant, then get a bookkeeper. They're not as expensive as you think. Get a bookkeeper. The next one is a secretary. You don't necessarily need a secretary. As time goes on, I think you'll need at least a personal assistant, but you don't necessarily need a secretary to start off with. Do you need your pastor? No, you don't. You don't. So for those of you who think, my pastor has to fast and pray for the next 6 months before I start that business, he has to come and open the building, he has to proclaim a word of it. You don't need all that. You don't need all that to do well in business. There are people who don't believe in God and are doing very, very well in business. So you don't need all that. Yes, there's nothing wrong in telling your pastor. Yes, there's nothing wrong in him praying for you. But some of us are immobilized by these things. Oh, I better not start it yet. My pastor hasn't prayed. Oh, my pastor said he'll be praying for the next 3 months. So I better not. Come on, grow up. Yes, it's good to tell them. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm a woman of God, so I support that. But don't let it immobilize you. Okay, next question. I hope you're getting something out of this. Next question. When you are starting a new business, which of the following steps are imperative or essential for you to succeed? A, market research. B, identifying your clients. C, a large amount of funds. D, business premises. E, staff. Which of these are imperative that you have if you're starting a new business? Market research, definitely. Do not go into any business, I don't care how lucrative it looks, do not go into any business without doing market research. I don't care even if your twin sister has done it and they're doing well. That is your twin sister. You are not your twin sister. Make sure you do your market research before you go into any business. Many of us rush headlong into a business, and then we discover that actually nobody wants to buy whatever it is that we are selling. So make sure you do your market research. Your market research should include things like, who are your customers? Does anybody want to buy your product? Where can you find your customers? How do you raise funds? What staff do you need? What kind of working capital, investment capital do you need? All those kind of things are part of your market research. A lot of us do not prepare. And because we do not prepare, the average black-owned company in the UK from beginning to end is 5 to 7 years. 5 to 7 years. whereas the average Asian-owned company in the UK lasts for one generation, which is 25 years. And a lot of it is because we don't prepare. We just rush headlong into something that we don't know anything about. We don't know anything about. Which again is one of the reasons why we want you to come along to GREW, the Global Real Estate Wealth Summit, because there you get the information you need. So the fact that somebody is buying property and they seem to be doing well is not a reason for you to do it. It might not be for you. You don't know what they do. You don't know what they do. So come along and let us educate you as to what you should be doing, what you should avoid doing, how we can hold your hand and help you to make sure that you walk past the pitfalls and you don't become a casualty because you didn't understand the market. Okay, the next one was identifying your clients. Yes, you must identify your clients. Who wants this product? Is it men, women? Is it the old? Is it the young? Is it working class? Is it the uber rich? Who wants this product? It's important that you identify your clients. Do you need a large amount of funds? No, you don't. Most small businesses do not need a large amount of money. I remember the second business that I set up with £1,000. That was all I had, £1,000. And that was all I needed. I bought one laptop. I was running it from my bedroom until it became profitable. You do not need a large amount of money to start up. So don't let that be a deterrent for you for starting a business. And if you have a good idea, the idea will attract the money. It will attract the money. All right, do you need business premises? In this day and age, no. I know multi-million-pound businesses that are being run from kitchen tables. I was watching a lady the other day, a documentary on small businesses in America the other day, and this lady makes candles. She makes candles in her kitchen. It's I think at the time it was about 3 million. Her company's worth about 3 million. She makes the candles in her kitchen. She packages it, and all the boxes were strewn across her living room. She packages them there, and she goes to the post office and she posts them off. You do not need business premises for most businesses now. Depending on your size, of course, it might be something that you need to have, and of course your industry. So for instance, if you're a solicitor, then you most likely need business premises. But a lot of businesses these days, especially if it's a product that you're selling, you don't need it. You don't need it. So you can cut off that overhead. The rule of thumb in business is to minimize your expenditure and maximize your income. So if you can cut off the overhead of having your own premises, why not do that? Why not do that? In fact, if you can automate your system so that people can order your products online or by going through your website, do that. Do that. Okay. The next question was, do you need staff? Well, to start off with, not originally. You tend to be the be all and end all in a business when you first of all start off. But of course, you must have the mindset that that is just a start, and that's not how things are going to go. So you must have the mindset that in a short time, I'm going to have staff. Because what will happen if you don't is you will run yourself ragged trying to do everything. And you spend so much time working in the business that you don't have enough time to work on the business. You don't have the time to strategize and help the business grow. So inevitably your business will not grow, and after a while it will begin to shrink, and after a while it will die. So it's important that you start thinking about stuff, but you don't need them to start off with. Okay, next question. Indicate true or false on the following statements. A sole trader is A person or business entity that is owned and run by one individual. Or a sole trader is B, a person who is his own boss, does whatever he feels like doing at any time. Or C, a sole trader is a person who works for himself at his own pace and his own style. Well, clearly it is A. A sole trader is a person or business entity that is owned and run by one individual. That's a sole trader. Now, a lot of people go into business with the mindset of C, a person who works for himself at his own pace and his own style. No, sir, you cannot work at your own pace and your own style, because inevitably you will have deadlines. So if you're one of those people who it takes you 1 week to read your emails, another week to respond, you will get yourself into trouble and you will have no customers. Because the times in which we are in, everything moves very fast. Everything moves very fast. So, no, you have to have, you are not someone who can move at your own pace and your own style. Your own style may not agree with the style of your customers. So you might think, oh, well, the packaging of my product doesn't really matter. I'll just, tie some raggedy ribbon around the box. And your clients are high-end clients, and they expect a little more finesse. They expect it to be wrapped in tissue. They expect the product to have really nice glitter sprawled on it. They expect it to be packaged in a certain way. All those kind of things. It depends on your clientele, but your clientele will inevitably drive the way you deliver your services. Okay, I'm going to be rounding up soon. What do you understand by the term financial independence? A is deliverance from the love of money. B is being free from any financial obligations or responsibilities, or the state of having sufficient personal wealth to live without having to work actively for basic necessities. Of course it is C. Financial freedom is where you have sufficient personal wealth to live without having to work actively for basic necessities. That's the goal, ladies and gentlemen. That's the goal. That you don't have to get up every morning at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock in order for money to come in for you to be able to afford basic necessities. You have worked out a system, you have built a business, you have invested sufficiently such that you can decide, you know what, I'm not doing anything today, and yet money will still come in. Or I'm sick of the weather, I'm going to go lay on the beach in Spain for the next 1 week, and yet money will still be coming in. Okay, so that is financial freedom. That is financial freedom. Okay, the next one is, which of the following do you think is the most important for anybody to achieve financial independence? A, hard work day and night. B, a good job and to associate with rich people. C, an individual savings account to save most of the money that you earn. D, self-invested personal pension, otherwise known as a SIP, plus a comprehensive insurance policy. E, a good personal financial plan to follow. All of the above. Well, it's definitely not hard work day and night. Although watching my people, you sometimes believe that that's how you become financially independent. I know people who have 3 jobs. 3 jobs. It's not sustainable. I'm not slagging you off. I'm just saying it's not sustainable. But after a while, the law of diminishing returns will set in, and you have only so much strength. So that's not sustainable. And that is not even how people become wealthy, particularly in the capitalist society. Because working hard and working smart are 2 completely different things. And if you want to become wealthy quick, working smart is what you should be going for. Working smart. Right. Which of the following do you think is the most important for anybody to achieve financial independence? A good job and associate with rich people? No, not necessarily. A good job can cover your basics, but it won't make you financially free. It won't make you free. I have never met anybody who said I became rich on my salary. They may have a good salary and invest that salary in something else that brings them money. So it's a springboard to wealth creation. But it doesn't matter how much they pay you. It doesn't matter how much they pay you. The next one is an individual savings account, which is an ISA, to save most of the money that you earn, not being careless or being extravagant. An ISA is a good thing to have, I guess, in the ABCs of making money. It's a good thing to have. But an ISA will not make you wealthy. How much are you getting on your ISA? Let's say, best case scenario, 5%. Although I think the other day, they told me my ISA was fetching 2%. 2%. So your ISA is bringing in 2%. And the inflation rate is 6.7%. So what's the point? What's the point? It's a complete waste of your time. Complete waste of your time. What about a SIP, self-invested personal pension, plus a comprehensive insurance policy? That alone is not enough to make you wealthy. It has advantages, of course, but it's not enough to make you wealthy. A good personal financial plan to follow. Yes. Yes, that is what you need. A good personal financial plan that you can follow. That, ladies and gentlemen, is what you need. A plan that shows you how much you are earning, how much you are spending every month, how much you need to live. A plan that projects how much you're going to need in the next 5 years, because your needs now will change. So maybe right now your children are university age. Your financial commitments now are different from when your children graduate and get their own jobs, and you become, you enter into your winter years. They're different. Your needs will be different. Have you projected how much you are going to need if you retire today? Or if, let's say, you're over 50 and they sack you today, how much do you need to live? Most of us don't know. When I found out how much I needed to live, because I actually had a professional financial advisor come in and sit down with me and my husband, when we discovered how much we need to live, and I'm not talking live an extravagant life, just to cover the basics in our retirement, we nearly passed out. Honestly, it was so depressing. But it was a wake-up call. It was a wake-up call that now, while I can still work, now while I still have my faculties, I got to get a move on. I've got to get a move on. If I want to enjoy my retirement years, and I'm almost there now, if I want to enjoy my retirement years, there are certain things I have to do to ensure that when I get to that age and stage, I'm not having to compromise my standard of living because I didn't prepare, or because I was living in denial, hoping that things would get better. They won't. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you very much for joining me today. It has been a pleasure to serve you, and hopefully your financial literacy skills would have improved somewhat. I actually think I'm going to do a part 2 of this because I still have quite a few questions. But please let me know what you thought of today's show. Send me a text or email or whatever. It's important that I get feedback so that I can ensure that I am serving you to the best, in the best capacity. Once again, don't forget the Global Real Estate Wealth Summit on the 14th of October. Make sure you come along to that. If you're married, bring your spouse. It's important that you both get the information and you're both moving in the same direction. If it's a husband and wife coming along, we have a special discount for you, so don't worry about that. But get in touch. The number that you need to call is there on that screen on the left-hand side. Those numbers, if you call them, all the information that you need in order to register will be given to you and how you need to go about it. Unfortunately, the early bird session has now closed, so it's full price, £1,000. Full price, £1,000. But please come along to that. Listen, 2003 can still be the year. The fact that we are in October doesn't mean anything. This can still be the year where you did something to change your circumstances. Don't wait for 2024. It's not guaranteed. I'm not trying to be morbid, but it's not guaranteed. But you are in a position today to do something about your financial situation. If you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, then do something, because if you don't do something different, you will keep getting the same results, and you're going to be here again this time next year moaning about your job that you hate, moaning about the fact that you're living from paycheck to paycheck, moaning about the fact that you're not making any kind of advancement where your finances are concerned. Let us help you change your story. That's all we want to help you do. Help you change your story. So come along to that. Lots of freebies on the day. Lots of freebies. Lots of material that are not just related to real estate, but related to business and investment as a whole. Lots of it are we giving out on the day. And again, don't forget that 90-day mentorship program thereafter. You have us at your beck and call for 90 days thereafter, which we can help you to become financially free through property investment. So, have a great week, ladies and gentlemen, and don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life. Bye-bye.
Global Real Estate Wealth Summit with Dr. Lumide Emmanuel will be happening live in October in a city of the United Kingdom. It will be an event like none other. 1 day, 8 speakers, 10 sessions. Date, Saturday 14th October 2023. Register now to qualify for the 30% discount offer. Visit www.olumideemmanuel.org/GrewUK to register, or call the hotlines 074-231-55486 or 020-322-30800.
Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, Bebe Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Star Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.